This is the Fortner home we did over in Laurel Ridge. They paid $165,000 for their lot, and then they built this log cabin on it, which is really nice. This is the second home for them. Jason's a developer down in Gwinnett County, and he's been very successful at that. He chose us to do the work. We also did the stain job on the house. We'll take a little bit closer look at that in just a minute. The double porch post with the granite and the mountain laurel railings really add to the look of this mountain home. This is their second home, but it's really a nice piece of property. And the last shot of the Fortner house. On this side is the fireplace and game room. Great looking home. Notice the 5/4 by 6 T&G that we put over the rafters. We make that. That's all out of yellow pine. And the rafters are notched to come down into the porch header so that this house is basically tied together. It would take something like hit Tuscaloosa to pull this thing apart. This is really well built. This is a cypress log home that was built about 10 years ago, and if you'll notice when we get closer you'll see the caulk lines where they had to go back and caulk it. So of course cypress isn't supposed to shrink, so you shouldn't have any of that, but the house wasn't built for settlement, so they had to go back and caulk every line of the log home in order to keep the air from coming through the walls in the wintertime. Nice materials, lousy construction. This is a Woodlands we built in 1990. Notice how tight the walls are and how the house is held together real well. It's a very nice house. It's made a nice cabin for these people. This is a Jim Barner home that we built several years ago. The guy didn't know about our log packages and stuff, so he chose Jim Barner, and then he couldn't find anybody that he could get along with to build it. But we contracted with him and built the house, and it turned out we built the house for settlement, and then we stained it with permachink stain. It's a really nice looking home. It's a little bit different, and it's big. This is a 20-year-old Woodlands A that was built by Glenn Jones and Larry Hamilton, and when they in DC, when they put the septic tank in, they dynamited rock all the way to Tallulah River. So glad we don't have them building anymore. This is the other side of the Woodlands A. Notice he's used Olympic stain on the outside of the house, and that's one of the worst things you can do, but the house is still holding up great after 20 years. This is the butternut stain from permachink, and then if you notice how we ended up fixing the windows and the doors for settlement so that the logs would actually slide down around the windows and doors. The previous contractor didn't know anything about that, so we came in and fixed it up for him, fixed the back porch and the stairways, and then we did the stain job on the house. It looks fairly good. This was done in 2005. Looking for an affordable cabin that'll be here for 100 years? Here it is. It's a Woodlands A, 30 by 42, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, living room, kitchen, and den. It's a great little mountain getaway. This one's built on a basement, so they've got storage down there or an extra bedroom if they want to have it. Okay, we're going to pan this house from right to left. Like I said, this is a Woodlands A, which is a single story. This is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Has scissor trusses in the middle over the roof, and this house has been around for quite a while, and it's just a great mountain cabin. Looks like a cabin. Notice how tight and straight the walls are. And one of the things is because we use what's called an outrigger to extend out the last rafter 30 to 36 inches so that you have plenty of overhang on the house. This overhang protects that log wall from water running down it, and with the natural concave of the logs, the logs shed water rather than hold water. So that's one reason this house, after 23 years, doesn't have any rot, doesn't have any bugs or anything like that, because we do treat every house with a borate solution that stops the bugs from going into it. So whether you're using yellow pine or white pine or whatever, do recommend the shell guard ready to use that comes from Permachink. And notice that how tight the log seams are where the logs join together. No need to go back and foam that or put backer rod in there or any of the things that a lot of these log homes have to do to stay tight, because the way the house is built is designed to shrink. This is a single-story house, and the logs are 8 inches round. They've got the saddle notch with the tongue and groove, so they're caulked on the inside. So as the house gets older, it gets tighter, and you don't have to worry about going back and fixing all the things that most log home owners complain about, which is a drafty cabin. Doesn't happen with ours. This is the Woodlands A that came from AAA Log Homes at the time, and Alex and I are now working together on building homes. This house is 23 years old, and notice how well the logs are holding up. The saddle notch corners, how tight they are, and how we ended up doing the porch roof. This is a big girder running along here with a notch cut in the pole, so the 8-inch log just rests right in the notch. And then we notch the rafters to go across the log, which locks it in. All you got to do is screw it in from the top. It's not going anywhere. This is a log cabin we built about 1988, so it's going on 23 years old. Larry was the contractor on this, and this is a typical 8-inch round log package. And you know, the thing about log homes is, it's not what they look like when you build them, it's what they look like 20 years down the road. And this is the epitome of what we think a log cabin in the mountains should look like and be like. This is the front of the log cabin that's on top of Laurel Ridge. They've got the big cedar post on their front porch with the big A-frame out front. Got the glass overhead. Real nice mountain getaway. If you have any interest in it, give me a call. This is a log home in the Laurel Ridge area. This is what's known as a button pass dovetail style house. It's got the 6 by 10 or 12-inch logs with the chink and groove in it. The house needs to have a stain job, but it's a real nice, well-built home right here in the top of Laurel Ridge. And here we are at Black Bear Cabin on 441 South, just south of Lakemont, on the way to Tallulah Falls. Front door here at Black Bear Cabins, and it says, "Welcome to our door." Notice how tight the logs are around this cabin. This is cabin number 2 at Black Bear Cabins, and this is also right on the river. Notice that the minimal cracking and checking and how tight the logs are. This package was sold about 10 years ago, and the house is actually better now and tighter now than it was the day it was built.